Well, good morning, guys. I got a lot of work here to do on this back end. I've got some places that need some weld and patching. I gotta clean up that rear end, drain the oil out of it somehow. Just a lot of little stuff that adds up. I've got to clean up this top rail across here, cut off these tabs, clean this up. I need to box this frame. I need to fix that door there. I got some cleanup here on the edge of the roof. I can beat those edges down. Same thing on this side. I got a big mess over here I got to cut up. And I've got to kind of wire brush this and get it at least rust converted. I got quite a bit of work right in here just cleaning up stuff. Make some caps for my angles. I've got to make some little brackets for the brake lines. So, and then I can get back in there and figure out what I can do to make a hinge. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm just going to start cleaning all this up in here. Make my welds. Looks like I already started bonding on this, so I can't really weld it anymore. I'll eventually get up here to this roof, but I need to get this sorted out, cleaned up. I decided I'd put a rumble seat in this. I don't know how well it's going to work. For now, I'll just put a good deck lid on it. Now let's get to cutting and see what happens. Well, I ground and pound and did all kinds of stuff in here. Got a lot of my welds cleaned up. A lot of stuff I need to finish, little stuff. And one of the things I was working on here, I've got this, this is a door stop. It's got a spring in there. When it opens all the way, it hits that spring. And I happen to have the bracket for the stop, but I don't have that arm. So I thought I'd just go ahead and make that door stop, because it doesn't bother me. It opens too far and I don't want to bend something. So I'll go ahead and make one of these. Well, here's the little bracket I made. I put it in with a big bolt. And I've got this pretty much figured out how it's going to slider here. I put a couple big bolts in here. I was thinking probably better to bolt it in, but they're sticking out too far there. Door won't close. I'm gonna try to, I think I'll just clamp this together, weld it right here. I cleaned it up for that. Probably need one in the back. I can't really see in here. just welding it on the front's going to want to try to bend it away from the door. Can't really get any bolts down in here because window molding. I may just try to cut one of them bolts down. We just need something to keep from twisting it in that frame. Well, I'll play around with this and see what I can get done there. Well, there's Mr. Hinge done. Goes back, hits a spring. I had to put a little reinforcing up in there because it was bending it. But it's got a little cushion. I've got some clearance. I've caught a couple little sticky spots in it. Probably don't have the geometry exactly right. Put a little grease on it. Works fine. I put a big lock nut right there, and this one I machined so it tightens up into the slider. But works good, closes good, and another little step in the project. My door opener is in, and stopping it good. Springs returning it. Little by little. Oh, sorry for the light, but I ordered this driveline off eBay. Got one $150 for it. I offered him 100 and he took it. And it's for a 74 Mopar. Spline fit right on the transmission. I thought I was going to have to cut it, do all kinds of stuff to fix it. And it turned out that it just happens to be exactly the right length. It slides up onto the yoke 1/4 of an inch. The Mopar U-joint is about 10 thousandths smaller than the Ford yoke, but it's a little bit wider. So basically it went right in. I gotta grind off on the inside of that yoke there. About 5 thousandths, 10 thousandths, just enough to get that cap in. So it's amazing. First time I ever seen that. But the driveline went in perfectly well. 15-20 minutes of machine work, just with a little rotary burr tool, and I can fix that. Putting a U-joint in there. The front one's good still. I ordered a rear one, and there's my drivetrain. And I was worried about that fitting that transmission, but it went in. It was rusty, but I cleaned it up, and some WD-40, fooled around with it, slid right in, moves back and forth by hand. So had to order another U-bolt too. Those two I have don't fit. Anyway, last piece of the drivetrain puzzle almost. Making a pretty big dent in my bolts already. I got my double D U-joint. So that's it for the steering. There's my front brake pads came today. So all I'm waiting is the slider bolts on the front. So basically I need just the bolts there for the brakes. I fixed this today. I think I probably showed you that. But this works really good. Real strong. Not bending or flexing. Doors are good. I started playing with that one over there. It's too hard to open. But I did a lot of grinding here, made myself sick breathing all this old rust. But I did a lot of grinding on this today. And I'll finish tomorrow what I thought I was going to do. Once I started with that grinder, I just kept going. There was so much stuff that was unfinished. And I had to wear a mask when I do this, I guess. I was hoping I'd get that done today, but I'll get it welded up tomorrow. And I'll get this all spray undercoated. And then we'll get on this trunk, finish it up. Press on. Well, today's July 11th anniversary. And there's this little lake here, about 10 miles from our house. Very calm. Looks like it's down about 10 feet. I'm still over there wading in the water. And it's a long, skinny one. Looks like it goes back that way about 2 or 3 miles. A couple of miles. And I think that's the end of it down there. Probably about a mile away. A little more maybe. It's like fishing and boating and anyway, it's nice to be here in Oregon. Not a lot of people, no people actually. Very pretty. Well, I welded this piece together here for the steering this morning before we took a little trip. I had 4 or 5 double D steering joint pieces. Here's the end I cut off. This only goes up into this about, oh, well, you can see where it's crunched there, 1.5 inches. This is probably 4 inches down into here and slides. This one, I just welded these together. I put it in the lathe and straightened it out. That's welded there, and I'll weld it here. It might work with some kind of clamp, but I know it'll work with a weld. These two joints are good. I cut them up. This will be raised up to about right here somewhere. You can see it's kind of moving up there. But one heim joint right there on the bottom, and that'll make this all real solid. And you can see here, I'm just gonna move the wheel there, you know, 1/2 inch, and you can see that's about what that's all the travel I got in it. That might be 3/8 of an inch anymore, and it turns the rear end, front end. Right there is where it's moving the tire. It's about 3/4 of an inch. None of this is tight. There's no heim joint in it at all. I can just tell by looking that these are plenty good angles for the steering. Got them all right. So that's my steering mock-up. Pretty simple and clean. I'll just have to wait for a heim joint. Of course, that wheel's not really mounted in there either. It's just sitting in there and got one bolt snugged. So I'll mount that. Good. I got to cut a hole in that bracket to clear the headlight switch mounting part, and then I can bolt that in and be done with that. Probably the last thing I'll do is pull it out of there and paint it. But once I can set this distance, I'll go ahead and weld this. And to take the steering out, I don't know what you're going to have to do. Well, they're going to have to loosen the wheel up just enough to slide it and get one of these heim joints apart. They're in there about 3/4 of an inch. So that'll come apart. The more I look at these headers, the worse they look.